Hey, Cardinals fans, welcome to another episode of Birds on a Blue Note. Got my buddy RJ here, and we are going to be covering this recent Cubs series in St. Louis. And real quickly, before we get to the recap, obviously, big note from the series was the fact that game one got postponed, and not just into a doubleheader, but like legit postponed to later in the season for July. So we actually missed out on Shota's start, which blessing in disguise was, you know, bit of good news because that man has been on fire. He was one of the targets I kind of wanted. He's been overperforming, but I'm just glad we didn't have to be the ones to face him, even though, we were hot, he's hot, and, never know how those things get, right, RJ?
Yeah, no, I think he was obviously scared of the Cardinals, which is why they didn't just push the game back a day. They said, no, he'll pitch on Monday. That's what
Yeah.
happened. But yeah, he's been phenomenal. 5-0. Was it 0.84 ERA? I mean, absolutely ridiculous. He's the Cy Young favorite right now, and for good reason. So, um, that would have been the Shota versus Miles game, which if you know how I feel about Miles, I would have been very uncomfortable with that game.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, it's definitely a blessing in disguise to miss him. I mean, not to say we couldn't have won anyway, but yeah, he's tough for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, it also like the thing that I liked is that they didn't push it into the doubleheader, especially with how our bullpen's been taxed and everything. That would have been a nightmare
And not only
scenario
that,
for us.
we pushed Miles back a day and we pushed Gray to what would have been our bullpen game
Mm-hmm.
or our TBD, whoever maybe Libertor. I could have had another meltdown over that, but it worked out better for us because we didn't have to figure that out at least this series.
True. And kudos to Miles for his like professionalism, not letting this really get to him at all, and like leading that into obviously technically game one of this series. We had Miles on the mound. I mean, they still had their a fantastic pitcher on the mound, obviously, in Talon, and it was an exciting game to say the least, right? I mean, this was the, you know, debut of the City Connects, and boy, did they show out for them. I'm real back and forth game. Miles got a quality start going 6 innings, allowing just 3 runs. Bullpen came in and for the most part, outside of Helsley, who's having a few hiccups, did their job. Offense showed up, put up 7 runs. I
And
mean,
it's
like
15 hits too, I think. So
15 to 12, like
yeah,
again, 7 to 6. This was an exciting game for fans of both teams. Obviously, Cubs fans are going to be upset they didn't get the win at all, but like this was a true like back and forth with us taking the lead, them taking it back the next inning, us tying it, then them like taking the lead again before we blew it up in the eighth, and them battling back off of our closer who's been one of the best in the league. Like
yep.
this game had so much going for it. It was exciting for baseball fans, and it was a primetime game too. So pretty much any baseball fan that was free and wanted to watch, this was the game that they were watching that night on this holiday weekend. And we came out, like props to our team for showing up and battling back. I think a month ago we lose this game,
Yeah,
in all
we probably
honesty.
lose. I mean, that's yeah. I mean, you're right though. It's probably the most exciting game we've had this year. And like you said, props to Miles. I know he wasn't on his A game, but he still got 6 innings, 300 runs. It's a quality start. He kept us in it, which is more than you can say for some of his other starts, in the past. It wasn't the most comfortable game in the late innings with our bullpen, who was usually typically knock on wood locked down. It did get a little sweaty there at the end, but ultimately, yeah, pulling out the 7-6 win, game one was huge, and like you said, it was on Fox, so a lot of national audience got to see us beat the Cubs, so that's fun. Um, Yeah, I mean, like Burley had a multi-hit game. Mason Wynn had the big RBI to tie it earlier. Then obviously like Lars with the triple, and yeah, it was very, very fun. It was a great game.
Contributions throughout the lineup. Donnie with 2 hits, Newt with 3, Goldie with 2, Burley with 2, Wynn with 2. The only starters that didn't get hits were Herrera. He's a catcher, he has an important part to play, and Siani, who has been doing his part the last couple of weeks. So, at the 9 spot, I don't mind that. And
Yeah, he's a defensive first outfielder. So if you get anything from him offensively, that's just a cherry on top, right? So I mean, yeah, it was a great game all around. Like the whole 15 hits. I mean, we he talked to us 2 weeks ago. We thought we couldn't get 5 hits in a game. So it's nice to see the offense like finally starting to click all together at the same time.
well, and even when we were getting hits, we weren't scoring them. We were stranding everybody at the end of the day. And let's talk about Carp coming
Oh,
in at a
yeah.
key spot. Ollie having the wherewithal to go to that veteran presence, knowing that that man hits well in those high pressure situations. And boy, did he deliver for the fans there. And Burley with that slide, getting his hand in there.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a picture of the season type picture too, if you want to throw that in here also. But yeah, that was huge from Carp. He got down like 0-2 immediately and he just flared it over the second baseman in right field. And I mean, what a play at the plate too, right? Like late in the game to tie it. It's just all excitement.
The ban of the shift is beautiful for that man. I hate to say it, if the shift is still in place, they've got him overloaded on that
Well,
side. And
Burley
that's,
too, who was on base, he probably wouldn't have been on base because that's what happened to him his first year in the league is they had the shift and he just smashed it to the second baseman over and over again.
yep.
And it's like, get rid of Burley. He stinks. It's like, but he hits the ball so hard and makes consistent contact. He'll be good. You just got to give it a little bit of time.
That is the one positive from the ban of these egregious shifts that I have liked is guys that make good contact are finally getting rewarded again for
Yep.
doing so and whatnot. Because essentially what you had done is you had overwhelmed it where you were going so deep into the metrics that you figured out exactly where people were most likely to hit it. And you were just placing guys there, and that takes away the fun from the game. Obviously you want to get guys out, but it should be a game of doing it, not not like that. If you've seen the Simpsons episode where Lisa's coaching the team and she just places Ralph in a spot with his arm up and he just catches the ball.
I haven't seen that. I mean, but yeah, particularly against left-handers who hit the ball hard. I mean, they're always going to be pull hitters because that's
It's
just
funny,
part
it's
of
a
it.
whole
Yeah.
sabermetrics episode. So she gets super into stats and sabermetrics and everything, and she literally figures out how to win games just by placing people certain places and putting Ralph in to get bean and that. I'll try to
Oh,
find clips to add into here.
So we're 1-1 in the third, and Isotop's manager Lisa Simpson rearranges her defense one more time. I haven't seen this many books in a dugout since Albert Einstein went canoeing.
Everyone shift towards right. I caught a white apple.
Yeah, it's like a whole episode, and it's awesome because Bart essentially just steals home against her wishes, and yeah, but besides the point. I mean, again, great game. The Helsley thing, we'll get to this a little more because obviously there was some stuff in game two, but these are rivalry games. Neither of these teams is going to let up when they get down. These are bragging rights. Even if you don't win the Central in this season, if you win the series against your rival, that's always something that you have to brag about.
Oh
for the
yeah.
year against them. Like, I know Dodgers Giants fans were like, they could care less who wins the World Series if they win the season series. I know Giants fans that have beaten, like, they'll be like, oh yeah, you guys won the World Series, but we beat you that year in the season series, so we were the better team. It's like, what? What? You
Well,
know?
yeah, the Cards Cubs rivalry is something that with deep rooted interest for over 100 years now. And Tony La Russa's actually got a really quote about like how important it is for us fans, like this Cards Cubs rivalry. We could throw that in here. I'm not going to say it verbatim, but yeah, I mean, for since my grandfather and before my grandfather just beat the Cubs. That's always been the motto around here is beat the Cubs, right? So like even when if we're having a bad season, which hasn't been often the last few decades, it would still beat the Cubs. And it's the same thing for the Cubs, even when they are having terrible seasons, beat us and they're happy, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, it was nice to get that game one win over them.
Oh, absolutely. One thing I want to mention real quickly before we move on to game two, we're seeing a lot more small ball from the team. There were stolen bases this game. I believe there was a hit and run too at one point where like if that isn't called by Ollie, like as much as I am not a fan of his, credit where credit is due. He has been managing games pretty darn well
Yeah, he's
the
been pulling
last
the
couple of
strings
weeks.
lately, right? So, I
I,
mean,
I
Goldie had
mean,
a
it's
had an
those little
RBI on
things.
one.
Like if he doesn't put the runner in play on one of these plays, like it's a double play ball. End of inning. You know, no runs scored. So like and what Newt had two or Newt had one and Gorman had one in the game. Gorman had a stolen base, man. Like you gotta love it. Ultimately, like
Yeah, it's situational awareness, right? So like he's got it, and it happened earlier in the game too. I think we moved someone over with the ground ball, and then Goldie drove him in with an out. So I mean, it's you were doing the small things right too. So
yeah,
it was our first game, I think, without a home run in the last 10 games, but we still put up 7 runs. So, like typically that doesn't happen, right? So it
mhm.
was good to see we were productive in key situations without driving the ball, where normally we would just strike out, pop up in the past.
Absolutely. And the thing that can't be understated too is what that does for the psyche of the team inside the clubhouse as well. You know, when you're playing at that high level and you're like, hey guys, we didn't have to hit a home run to win, it gets you out of that home run,
Or bust, right?
or bust mentality. Thanks for cat on my tongue there. But yeah, it gets you out of that mentality. Like, sure, you're still gonna take that home run when you can, but you're like, hey, we can win games without the home run. We just got to put the ball in play. And obviously, great. Helsley, even though he had those struggles, still gets his 16th save. ERA still under 2. So, you know, that man has been fantastic. We just have to not wear him out
Yeah.
ultimately.
And there's some theories on what happened with Housley in the series we can get into after game two. But yeah,
And we
speaking of home
will.
runs, I guess game two, I'll let you take that away.
Yeah. So, game two was basically a tale of two hitters, let's say, the Goldie versus Hap game. And Goldie emerged victorious.
Right?
Sonny was on the mound with us, so obviously feeling good. But I mean, let's be real, they had a sod on the mound, so like this was not a for sure game either way. Like the Cubs have had pretty solid pitching this year from their starters. And, you know, while we didn't get much going this game, it was enough. Goldie had 2 home runs. So for all those people that are saying he's finished and to get rid of Goldie, I mean, the man can still do it. Like that two-hand swing, it's like he barely touches the ball and it just jumps off the bat. Obviously, it's a little more awkward having to keep the arms through on your swing, but like he's generating a lot more power when he is connecting, it seems. So, Sonny did his job too. Um,
Kind of.
I we don't
5 innings,
know.
76 pitches. It would weird, right? So like
True, but with the
Avery May
rain too,
hurt,
like you
yeah.
don't know what was
Well,
happening.
that's all theorizing right now too, though. Like we haven't really got a concrete answer on why he was pulled. So we think he's fine. Obviously, an injury, if he was hurt or tweaked or something, we would have heard by now.
Yeah,
Still a little weird though to have your ace only go 5 innings, 76 pitches, and a rivalry game. I know the rain. It's just I would like some sort of explanation is all, because we didn't really get that. So
true. And ultimately, that does come from the media and the reporters that are in the room needing to push and just asking that simple question. It doesn't need to be an attack, but hey, everything okay with Sonny? Was it the rain? Just to get that definitive answer because he was on 8 strikeouts in those 76 pitches, like
yeah.
only 2 walks, 1 hit. Like the man was looking good. So I mean, I know with the rain, especially with them not sure, like especially you have to stay fresh, because the second that you get, all janky up, like it isn't good. But I mean, yeah, you would like to see your ace go a lot more than 5 innings, especially when he's doing that well.
Well,
Because I
yeah,
mean,
not
this
only
wasn't
that, it was
supposed to be a
a close
bullpen
game too.
game, and it turned into a bullpen game.
Yeah, like I was gonna say, it was a close game. Also, we used the same few relievers again in back-to-back games, so it just kind of put us in a bad spot. I mean, obviously, you're really comfortable with the guys we put in most of the time, but you don't, like you mentioned earlier, you don't want to overuse the same guys over and over and over and over and over again,
Yeah,
and that's what we ended up doing. And I think maybe there's some fatigue in there, but things got interesting again in the late innings with them, and
way too
yeah,
interesting.
yep. Kit gave up a run. He gave up a run, I think, in both appearance. No, Hillsley gave up a run in both appearances. Kit gave up a run or 2 runs to Hap on the
Yeah.
home. JoJo's the only one that had a clean inning, and by clean, I mean no runs. He had base runners also, so that got interesting too. Um, but yeah, I mean, we pulled it out. It's a 2-game sweep. We take those.
I'll take it every day. I mean, uh, there were some struggles there, but the wins are what matter. And this was an important series against a rival in our division. And we come away with 2 important games, which, I mean, what, a month ago, everybody was like, sell the team, fire
Yeah, right.
everybody.
I
And
was one of
now,
those. Well, not fire everybody, but do something to change
no,
things.
there were some
Yeah.
people saying, fire everybody.
Yeah.
We weren't, but there were people. But I mean, look at it. Now we're a half game out of the wild card race, and we're just 4.5 back in the Central.
Yep, 1 game under 500. We've won 10 of our last 12. If you would have told me we'd win 10 of 12 going against what did it start with? The Angels and the Red Sox and the Orioles and then the Cubs, I would have said you're crazy. With where we were at that point in the season, nobody was hitting. Our starters were starting to slip a little bit. The bullpen was really the only thing that was going well. And now the starters have picked it up a little bit. The offense has been fantastic, and the bullpen's the one that looks a little shaky the last couple of games. But um, yeah, it's awesome. I did want to go over a couple key players this series. Obviously, I always like to do that. It's only 2 games, so very, very small sample size, like I said. But Goldie hit 444. He slugged over 1,200, 5 RBIs, the 2 home runs. Newt Bar hit 600 in the series, 356 WRC plus. Win got 2 more hits. He's got a 15-game hit streak now. I mean, he had a multi-hit game 1. He got another hit game 2. He hit 429 for the series. Gorman hit 429 for the series. Burleson hit 500 for the series. All that dude does is hit, it seems like. He had a pretty funny interview in game 2 also, if you want to listen to that. But, I mean, aside from Goldie, who had a big series, most of his production is coming from our younger core. Like we
Mhm.
mentioned last series, it's something you really like to see because this is the future of our team, right? Like Goldie may or may not be here next season. So you need to get production outside of him and Arnada, who didn't do too much this series, but he still contributed. He had an RBI game 1 and he played his usual defense. But yeah, and then Burleson's got a 10-game hit streak going also. So I mean, we got a couple of guys, a couple of young guys who just hit and hit and hit and hit, and it's good to see.
Yeah, it really is. And the starters, Miles and Gray, I mean, again, you would like to see more from both of them, but they did their job this weekend. Things could have gone completely different against this Cubs team. I mean, Belly's been hitting people. I mean, no matter how bad he seems to be doing, always does well against the Cardinals. I think he's got over 20 home runs against us in his career. Like
Yep.
the man just hits well at a park that you shouldn't hit well at.
He's this generation's Aramis Ramirez for you older school fans, if you remember Aramis. Yeah, he just kills us.
Yeah. But we didn't let it stop us this time. That was the key. Like we fought back ultimately. And again, like it's a sweep at the
Right.
end of the day.
Swept the Cubs, and we're only one game under 500 now. I mean, we were up 7 games under like a week and a half ago, 8 games under.
And they're only one game above 500 now. A week ago, they were soaring high and thinking that they were going to be fighting for that central. And now we're coming in and saying, no, this is a 3-team race. This isn't just you and the Brewers. We're here too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've gained so much ground just in the past 2 weeks. It's great to see, and hopefully we can keep this rolling. Right, we play the Reds today.
Yeah.
The Reds are coming off a sweep of the Dodgers themselves, so they're feeling a little bit better the past week, I would say. You know, beating the almighty Dodgers will do that to you. But this is something we should win, right? Like the Reds, we should beat the Reds. Should beat the Reds.
Well, we need to beat the Reds. If we want to take this division and be a serious contender, we have to be beating the Reds. We have to beat the teams that are below us right now and just quash their hopes while they still have them and whatnot. Because if we let that linger and we let this be a 4-team race, it isn't going to be very ugly going down the stretch.
Yeah, and that's what something Tony used to say also is play 500 against the good teams and beat the bad teams. Well, we've done the opposite so far this year. We've been beating the good teams and losing to the bad ones. So hopefully this is like us turning that corner where we just beat the bad teams now consistently and we play pretty good ball against the good teams, and I'll be happy.
Yeah. And so obviously looking forward, this is the, last few games of that important stretch of May specifically that we were talking about, finishing off 3 games. We are on the road now against the Reds and then heading out to Philadelphia against the Phillies for a game before that continues on into the June schedule of the calendar. But I mean, I don't know about you, but after where things started, you have to like where we're at with about 4 months left of the season, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's crazy how fast things seem to have just turned around, and the whole aura, the whole personality, the whole feel for this team is just up and up. You know, if you would have asked me 2 weeks ago, like where we'd be right now, I don't think things would have looked nearly this positive. So
yeah, and I mean,
you love to see it.
Reminder to fans, there are still going to be a lot of ups and downs. There are 4 months left. Even the best teams over the next 4 months are probably going to only win 70% of their games at best.
Yeah, like I just said, the Dodgers got swept by the Reds.
Yeah.
That's in the Central, so.
And so like you can either get doom or gloom and like or celebrate and like snorting drugs and everything and every win of series, or you just got to stay even keeled. Ultimately, these seasons are really long, and like if you give in to either side, it can get too much. I do like to see the consistency that we're getting from both sides of the ball, offense and defense. And I mean, it's just good. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling a lot better than I was when we got when we lost 3 of 4 to the Brewers
to the
earlier
Brewers.
in the month. It's crazy how much couple weeks difference can make because we all know where everybody was at after the Sox, Mets, and Brewers series.
Especially the Sox. It's like, when are we going to fire someone?
Yeah.
It's so different now. And if you watched our videos for a while, you'll remember 2 weeks ago, I'll be looking at my paper and reading off the offensive stats, like last place in this, second to last in this. Nobody hits for power. We don't hit any extra base hits. We don't get on base. And now we're doing all of those things. And it's just like overnight it seemed something changed. Ever since the Ali ejection, right? We're going to credit Ali for getting ejected. So yeah, again, to those people who think Ali can't manage, every time he gets ejected, we win. So you might be right.
Never know, man.
I'm being facetious, by the way, so don't take that seriously.
Yeah, so I mean, any final thoughts on the series other than seeing that L flag fly for the Cubs?
No, I mean, you would have liked a little more production outside of Goldie game two, but ultimately can't complain. It's a 4-3 win. Javier Assad is a really good pitcher too. He has kind of taken our lunch money there for the first few innings. But we got production up and down through the lineup now, and that was like the big thing for us. Like nobody was hitting. Now it seems like everyone's hitting. Um, it's great. I mean, no complaints here.
Real quickly before we sign off and that, any thoughts on Jordan Walker? I know he's been struggling a bit in the minors. You are our minor league guy. I'm
I
not
wouldn't even
too
say he's
concerned.
struggling, to be honest. The only thing he's struggling is to hit the ball over the wall. He hasn't hit a home run still. But if you look at like his exit velo and his batting average and his ability to hit to all fields, he's hitting the ball really, really hard, and he's hitting it hard all over the place.
Good.
Um, it- it's one of those things that I think is just the power is going to come more naturally as he gets more comfortable. I'm not concerned about him. Like it, I, I can throw up some stats from some of his exit velos at the end of this video, but he's hitting. He's just not hitting it over the wall. Temper your expectations. He's going to get more power as he grows in his body. He's still only 22 years old. Um, but he's smashing the ball. He's hitting it really hard, and that's what matters, right? So like he'll be
Mhm.
fine.
Beautiful. Just wanted to touch on that because I know some people have been bringing it up recently because he's still in the minors. But I think just let him season down there, personally.
Yep. And we're winning. We're winning right now. We don't need to rush him up and put that pressure on him. There was a lot of pressure on him earlier in the season too, because everyone else around him was struggling, and
Yeah.
we expected him to hit home runs, and he wasn't. So I think he kind of got in his own headspace a little bit there too, which led to some more struggles than he normally would have had everyone just been playing to their potential. Really quickly, also, I did want to touch on Helsley. There's some theorizing going on that he was tipping his pitches in the series, which led to him not being his usual dominant self. I will have to survey the video evidence a little bit more. I don't know if this is true or not. Hopefully it's not, but if it is, maybe it's an easy fix and he'll be fine. But typically he doesn't give up runs in back-to-back games, which that's unusual for him.
I heard there was mention that he might have been holding his pitches longer for his fastball, stuff like that. You know, if guys are
Yep.
noticing that you're taking a little longer to get your proper
Yeah, he
fingering on
was
the
he was
ball.
coming set longer for the fastballs to gear up a little bit harder, and that's what he was getting hit on was the fastball. Like if you notice, Game Two, Hap hit the home run,
Mhm.
like pitch one on the fastball, and then he didn't throw another fastball for like the next 14 pitches. So I think they were catching on to something too.
Yeah, I mean, if that is the case, that's a quick, easy fix. You know, just make him come set longer for his breaking balls. That way everything's in sync because no need to rush the fastball. You need to make sure you're feeling that, especially as a closer. So yeah, just come set a little longer. Wayno can help him with that. That man was a master at freaking changing up his timing
Yeah,
mid-pitch.
yeah, for sure. He did that a lot. Change up
Oh
the
yeah.
speed like on every pitch too, and you'll never know it's coming. So,
Oh, that that was the thing. I always loved that interview with him. He mentioned that later, as he got older, he realized that he couldn't gas it by people anymore, so he had to use more trickery and figuring out things like that, like threw hitters off. It doesn't matter if they know the fastball's coming if they can't time the fastball
yep.
coming in. And yeah, so I mean, hopefully he can get that fixed. Hopefully we can get him a few wins where he doesn't need to come in at all, and we can rest that arm a bit. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. This stretch will be really important, but also wanted to bring up we are getting closer to that 100 subscriber giveaway.
Oh yeah, that's
We
right.
are still waiting. That mystery bag is sitting on RJ's shelf, and
On my desk. It's right next to me. It's still right here. Autographed baseball from Cards Hall of Famer and or Baseball Hall of Famer replica ring. There's some old baseball cards. There's some cool stuff in there.
Oh yeah. So
I don't know
reminder
what
that
it is either. I haven't opened it. I've been wanting to open it to see who autographed it. I've been containing myself. So maybe I'll trade one of my autographs in there that I don't like as much. I don't even know who's in there. So someone please sub. Right. I want to
yeah,
get rid of this
so
thing.
just reminder that is specifically for the subscribers. We will be raffling that off once we hit 100, and we'll post that video here. And unlike these draft lotteries, we will do that quote unquote live so you guys can actually see who wins. It's not going to be, you know, we waited it and did it behind closed doors type of deal.
Yeah, and I gave it to myself because I'm subscribed.
Right? I think Luke's a subscriber too. He's one of us.
Yeah.
No, but so that'll do it for us today. We hope you all have been enjoying Memorial Day weekend with the family. For those that have lost loved ones who served, thank you for their service. Our prayers are with your family, and we will see you all next episode. Thank you all for joining us again, and yeah, have a great rest of the day. Take care.